commissioners, and please correct me if I do not pronounce your name correctly. Lynn Alexis.
Here.
You can either wave or say present. Reverend Timothy Bogertman.
Present.
Chief Christopher Bright.
Present.
Chief David Callahan.
Present.
Jalon Fowler.
Present.
Dr. Lorenzo Garcia.
Present.
Shema Mansour Hosseini.
Present.
Rashid Mukabir.
Present.
Peru Pish.
Present.
And it sounds like Kathy Ann Reinstein might be joining us late, and I am present, Janine Grillo-Mara. I'd like to take a few moments to arrive and really be fully present so that we can dive into this work in this important service for our community. And it will just be a few moments to a minute. So if you'd like, you might want to just sit back in your chair, and your eyes can be closed or open. Just feel the contact points of your body on the chair. Just sitting, just breathing, just being. And let's all remember our intention and why we have chosen to accept this role in this important work for the community of Revere. If you'd like, you can take a nice deep breath. And prior to the meeting, I had sent out the minutes from the November 5th meeting. Does anyone need me to share those minutes? Can we make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Does
I'll
anyone
second.
Okay, so the November 5th meeting minutes have been approved. Actually, is everyone in agreement? All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Thank
Aye.
you. I'm learning.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, caught myself. Still a good person. So the first topic I wanted to discuss is the format for the meetings. Unless there are objections, I'd like to start the meetings with just a few moments, a minute of silence as a way to fully arrive together and be more present before we begin our work. So if anyone does have an objection to that, please speak. Okay. Shay, the vice chair, has offered to record the minutes for the meetings. And so we do not need to elect a recording secretary. So I just wanted everyone to be aware of that. And we thank her for her offering to provide that service for us.
Thank you.
I wanted to briefly speak about the use of pronouns. It's become sort of more common that you see in email signatures or in Zoom meetings, you see the use of pronouns. And when I first started seeing this become more popular earlier in the year, I felt I was awkward and it felt a little foreign and it was not what I was accustomed to. It wasn't traditional. And then I came across someone who shared that this person who was transgender was in a Zoom meeting. And because the facilitator of the meeting used pronouns, it made this person feel safer and more comfortable. And that made me realize, like, for no effort on my part, I could make someone feel safer. And so that was when I began using pronouns. I'd like to invite this group, especially because of the role we play with human rights, that we might, at least in these meetings, include our pronouns. So whether you identify with the same gender you were born and you use those pronouns, she, her, or he, him, or they is either identifying with both genders or neither gender. So if you are sort of willing to try that, and if you don't know how to rename yourself, you go to your image and you put your cursor where the 3 little dots are, and if you click on that, you'll see a drop down and you can put rename, and then you can just rename it in there. And it's something, if you wanted to change more permanently, if you have a Zoom account, you can change it within your profile. And lastly, at the last meeting, I do remember Karu had brought up the topic of how to conduct conversation and discussion and deliberation within the meetings. I think it was called a circle approach, maybe. So I didn't know, Karu, if you wanted to talk about that, since it's my first meeting as the chairperson, and we might want to, this would be the last piece of how we might run these meetings.
Sure. And Kathy also familiar with this process. So so I work at Habuco. We have been adopting the circle process for all kinds of meeting and engagement. The circle process is an indigenous form of promoting equity within either within the meeting or family gathering or community gathering, that everybody has the opportunity to participate, and there's a talking point. And if we meet in person, although throughout the pandemic, we have been also utilizing circle as well. I can also share the document about the circle, and many more people who's doing restorative justice and transformative justice and decolonization. Nowadays, they have been utilizing the circle governance as well. So I can share that. I will send an article so that you can be familiar with it. And I also have a colleague who can also give us a training on what the circle process is, what the purpose of the circle process, and how to conduct a meeting in the circle. I'm more than happy to have her teach us how to do that.
So it sounds like maybe the first step is that you'll share the article, and then we can maybe discuss it further at the next meeting and see if people want to proceed. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
go ahead, Kathy.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Karu. I think she did a better job than I could at describing it. Yeah, so we use them at Roca as well. And like Karu said, it's kind of harder virtually. So I am not trained in it yet, just because we went virtual pretty much, 2 months after I joined. But we did offer, and we extend this offer to this group about, doing circles. So if anyone is interested, we can discuss that later. But also, it's not the same thing, but the way we start our meetings and we end our meetings is with check-ins and check-outs. So maybe, I don't know, Karu, correct me if I'm wrong, but, maybe that's a way too, to let everyone kind of, because it's like you have a piece that you pass along and everyone gets to speak, and it's hard to do that virtually. So it's almost like you have either, Madam Chair, you would start it and then you would call on people, or you would ask the next person, you pick someone and the next person just picks someone else who hasn't gone. and that's how they can contribute. So those are just some thoughts on how we've done it virtually and internally at our company, at our organization. Thanks.
Kathy, I will also send the structure outline as well so that everybody know what to expect. And it can be done in a virtual process because I have been doing the circle for healing circle and at the men engagement circle as well with 100 people, and it works. So I will share that process with everyone so that everyone get familiar with the process. Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, and whenever, just for all of us to remember, when we share something by email, we have to be careful that it does not turn into discussion or deliberation so that we're not violating the open meeting laws. So we can share things and then discuss them when we meet. Okay, does anyone have anything else to add about what they would like to see or what they feel is important about the format of the meetings?
Maybe, yes, I'd like to add something. Maybe we could develop some agreed upon group norms. I think that's important, particularly in a forum like this, in a format like this, where you have different cultural sensitivities, gender issues. I mean, gender, not issues, but gender in general, and other, specific characteristics of, people's background and things like that. You want to make sure that you have norms that really govern this body and that we all agreed upon. So just a suggestion.
Okay. And do you have anything that you would want to share with the group?
I could come up with something that we could share. And
Maybe if you and Karu and if Kathy, you have anything to add, or anybody else, you could send me any either resources or suggestions, and this way I could compile it into one reference document and send it out to the group to review for the next meeting.
usually, just in addition to what I just said, usually those norms
Mhm,
are read at the beginning of the meeting very quickly, so
mhm,
that we all are aware of.
mhm.
And it can be read by anybody. Maybe at one meeting you can read it. Garcia takes the next meeting. That's why everyone, because it becomes owned by anyone.
Perfect, and it sounds like it would be nice to do maybe after our silence and just settling to then read it. So, and this can also unfold and evolve as we go along, but I did want to try to set some parameters that will help us to arrive, to connect, and to support each other as well as this work that we're doing. Anyone else?
Dr.
I think
Garcia.
having-
Oh,
oh, sorry.
Go
Go ahead, Karu. Maybe something that we do in Rio is like have a list of values that is agreed upon within the group, and like something similar to what Dr. Garcia said, like read them out loud in the beginning of the meeting just to see like where we are in terms of mindset, and to like keep in mind that these are our values and that it kind of enforces the fact that like this is what we believe in. I don't know if that makes sense.
Do you mean personal values or do you mean the commission values?
Commission values.
So that
I mean, they
think
could be.
is
I mean,
we
they could be. Oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I was going to say, is we develop the mission statement further, it could be something that we have core values, strategies, goals. So it could be that what you're talking about might actually come from our continued work on the mission statement. We're just sort of at the beginning of that. Does that sound accurate, Shay?
Oh, she freeze.
I think she's frozen.
Yeah, I think so. Are you saying, first of all, I really like the way you started today, and I apologize, I was late. So thank you for doing that. But you mean like you can almost read the mission like at the beginning of every meeting to kind of clarify it for anyone who's joining for I think that would be really, I think, a nice thing to do.
I think as we work on the mission statement further and then decide as a group how much we want to add to that. Do we want to add core values? Do we want to add like strategies, objectives, goals? Then we can decide from there, as that develops further, then we can see what is important to sort of remember at the beginning of the meeting or recite and have different people recite it. So I think this is my sense is this is something that will continue to evolve as we develop the mission statement further, and as well as we get some resources from other people that are willing to just send me any thoughts and ideas or resources you have. So I'm glad that we're getting so much input, because I think that the way we structure our meetings is really an expression of the commission.
I have a question in terms of the agreement. I love that. So if we to take on the circle structure for a meeting, one of the things that we also do, we come up with, we call it a group agreement, and how we show up for the meeting and how we show up for one another. You know, it's like how you be in a circle together. Mm-hmm. So if we have that training, we can also work on the value together as well, kind of value agreement, how we be together in this meeting.
Yes. Jalon, I see your hand.
Yeah, I was raising my hand. I guess that's one thing even. So I usually stay on mute, actually, until, you know, it's time to talk in. And I think that's even something we need to figure out, right? Do we want people to just jump in when there's an opening, or are we going to have a more diplomatic or equitable way of going around the group? Because I think there's a lot of us on the call, right? And we need to figure out, you know, how we're going to work that if we want to hear, because I'd like to certainly hear from everyone. I was really encouraged when I heard everyone's bios. I think we all have a lot to offer and probably have something to say about everything, but we have to find a way, right, to make it work. So I think it's good, you know, what Carew said and what Dr. Garcia said and Kathy. I think we do need to take that on, how we're going to make this work, and agree on that. Thanks.
Yes, and I was thinking for tonight, until we continue to formulate this, for now, people can feel free to unmute yourself, but I want to, before we sort of finish with that topic, I want to ask and invite anyone to make sure that there isn't anybody that has something to say, so that at least for now, until we have more structure, I'll try to do my best to remember to invite people to speak. And I think for all of us, I think we know those of us who have personalities that are more extrovert and outspoken. And our challenge and edge is to sometimes sit back and be a little more patient and quiet, and others, they need to lean into stepping up and speaking up. And so I think we can each work within our own personalities and be respectful within the group. I'll do my best to check in and make sure that everyone's had an opportunity to speak, and we might also develop, as you say, Jalon, just some other basics. And I do think it is good for those who aren't speaking to be muted, just to reduce background sound and feedback. Are we all in favor to close this topic? Thank you, Carew. Yes? So I need help from those who are more formal with these meetings. For something like this, do we need to pass any motions, or is it enough to just close this topic?
Janine, before you close this topic, I just want to add something to the format of the meeting. If we could dedicate a certain period of time to the audience to hear from them. And this is what I liked about this group. 2 days ago, when we did the subcommittee about the mission. Everyone had those ideas, their ideas, and we tried to accommodate everyone's ideas. So that's how we can hear more ideas and be open to everyone in the community.
Yeah,
I think it's very important to dedicate a certain part of the time for the audience.
yeah,
Thank you.
very good. Thank you. Chief Bright, were you going to say something?
No, I just as a point of information, I think you're doing a great job running the meeting. It should be loose,
Okay.
really. It should allow everyone to have an opportunity to speak, and not one person dominate it. Everyone should have a chance going around the horn, and obviously, leaving some time for anyone from the public who happens to join in. No one happened to join in on our subcommittee meeting the other night, but I do believe there may be some people tonight who are listening. So no, I think things can be don't have to be too technical, following the rules of order.
Okay.
And if there is an issue, we could take a vote of the commission if we have a dispute on that. So
Okay.
that's my point.
Thank you, Chief, and for all your help.
You're welcome.
So in summary, those who have ideas or resources will send them to me by email, or I might send you a reminder so that you have a timeline to get them to me, and then I can send them out to everyone to review for our next meeting. But we have some nice ideas here to start with. Okay. So for the mission statement, the subcommittee, we were so productive the other night that we were able to send you out some samples to review. Chief, do you feel like you still, since they had an opportunity to see those samples, do you feel like you still need to give a report as the chair of that subcommittee, or should we just dive in?
Just briefly, the committee met virtually and, took some bits and pieces of what everybody had and kind of, morphed it together to condense it. And I think we have 3 good examples here to start working with the committee and have the full committee weigh in on it. Okay. So, and again, if we want to open it up to the general public too, for their comments. Okay. So again, I'll pass it back to the chair, but I think we can proceed and get to the mission statement, development of the mission statement.
Okay, thank you, Chief. And I'll share my screen, and Karu had just this afternoon sent sort of some additional information. So I was going to share that document so we can see sort of the most up-to-date information that we have. And please keep in mind that we really tried to keep this at just the mission statement. So we understand that we might want to add action plans and all kinds of other pieces of how we will get this done. But for right now, we just want to work on the mission statement. So I will share my screen. Just give me a moment to. Okay. Can everyone see this? Yeah?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. So we have the 3 mission statements that we had submitted from the subcommittee meeting. And if you did not see your email recently, Karu had sent this update just this afternoon. So this is from the Boston Public Health Commission and could be helpful for getting some language you want in a way that might work for the group, changing Boston to Revere. So what you see in this yellow highlighted area is sort of almost an additional one that we have. So there's 4 here, and everyone had a chance to review them since Monday. And the best, so now we have these 4. Can everyone, I'm trying to get it so you can see all 4. Is it helpful to have those on the screen?
Yes. Yeah, if you can download it and see if we can even edit it or review it, and we can hear from all the commissioners.
Okay, I'm gonna have to, so is everyone okay with using that one where Carew added, because this is sort of different information from the subcommittee meeting. So is everyone okay with having that fourth one in there for our discussion? Yes, okay. So then give me a moment. Let me download this so I can put it in an editable form. Okay. And I'm just gonna take this. Okay. Okay. Try again. Okay. Let's see. So these are the four. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay. So for those of you that weren't in the subcommittee meeting and maybe didn't have as much time to process all of this and see what we went through, does anyone have any comments on any of them?
I think we should go through each one separately and hear each one's feedback. That will be very helpful.
Okay. So since I'm sharing my screen, let me just see. I don't see all of you. So Shay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
As vice chair, do you mind calling on each of the, maybe just randomly call on each of the members so that they can?
Yeah, of course. I'm gonna start with Jalen Fowler.
Okay.
Hi, thank you. It's Lance here. All right, so thank you all who took the time for us to get us going so we'd have a foundation to work from. For me, when I read these, each one resonated at a different level. And the question that I have is, each of them had different strong verbs. So I'm wondering really where we as a group feel like we are. Are we really going to protect the rights, or are we going to enforce, as we said, or educate? We're kind of the beauty of them and the trouble of them is that they were a bit very distinct along those notes, and language does matter. So unfortunately, I was hoping to get a sense of that when people talked and see if we had a consensus, but I'm first. So that's kind of, but if I have to pick one, I actually really do like the new one that came in, to be honest. But I do think that we need to understand what we want to do as a group, to say protect, what does that really mean? Like to say educate, so yeah.
So what I heard is that the verbs are important in the use of language and to make sure that we all are comfortable and in agreement, and that the fourth one, the newer one that's highlighted, resonated for you. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you.
And I think, when people speak, it's up to you. You could just, if it's comfortable for you to just focus on the first one, you can. If you already know that one resonates for you, then you can speak to that one, or maybe a combination. So however it's best for you to share your thoughts and your feelings.
Okay, yeah, so I don't have much to say, except I do, I've looked at this one, really like this one and think it's someplace we could work from here. And with that, I'm happy to pass it on to the next commissioner to comment.
Thank you, Jalon.
I would like to pass it to Peru.
Karu, I don't know if you heard that. She passed.
Yes, thank you. I was speaking while I was on mute. Thank you. So when I was looking at the three mission, and each one of them has, like Jalon said, it's like strong word, and I couldn't pick either or, right? And then, I start analyzing like each one of them, and I feel like there's some missing part of it from each one of them. That's why I was like searching around, spoke with my colleagues, like something that really combined the three. So I found something, and I just, I'm just gonna share with everyone. And then it brought me back to the reason why I shared this. It brought me back to kind of the purpose and the principle of why we having a Human Rights Commission in Revere. What stemmed us from for having this group, and then looking at the history of Revere is changing a lot compared to 20 years ago. So a lot of things has changed. There's many newcomers. There are many different ethnic groups that coming to Revere. So how do we kind of come up with a mission that really respond to the community that we are living in, and then to the community, to the people, that they can feel they belong here. There's some inclusion and belonging and engagement as a community. So that's why I came up with, found something I feel like it spoke to me, that I wanted to share with everyone.
Okay. So what I heard is that you, even though you liked the three, there was something that the words just weren't a great fit for you, and that you found this one that you felt was a better fit, and you shared that one. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes,
thank you,
thank
Kuro.
you.
And thank you for adding that in.
Thank you very much. I would like to pass it to Timothy Bogergan.
Thank you. Yeah, that's appreciate that. And I just want to share, thanks again for all the hard work that was put into this by the subcommittee. It was a great job here, giving us some options. And then of course, with Karu giving us this final one too was excellent as well to have these. Couple things. I love the reminder here about some of the things we have, our tightness of this, that hopefully we can keep it within a sentence or two to keep it close, because I don't want to add too much that we lose kind of what we're trying to focus on. It's important to keep it tight. But I do like a couple things. The promote, protect, preserve, and the last one that Karu gave is a good reminder, because the first one mentions education, and I think that's good. I think we should, but it kind of gets us into what's our role. Are we educating, or are we protecting and preserving and promoting? Which I like that verbiage of protect, promote, and preserve, because we're trying to hold on to these things and move them forward in the community. The other one to think about too that I appreciated, the second one, I like the inclusion of civil rights in some way, mentioning that in there. I think it's important to not lose that, human rights and civil rights. I'm glad you put both there, and that we don't forget the importance of human and civil rights being part of it. I think that's important to have that in there, to remind ourselves of what we're promoting with that. And then the other one that I think I also would help a little bit too is, how do we include, what are we going to focus on to help make these things happen? Are there verbs or words we can use that incorporate this in bigger ways? So like number 2 gives into respect, fairness, impartiality, and justice. These are all really good things. And I think maybe as we have bigger terms, then as we go into our core values, we can map those out, because it would help to then say, what does that mean for us? Because we need in our mission statement to be, here's the big picture. And then our core values lay out. We mean by justice, these things and having that there. And then finally, we can add, so we said equal access, equity. I think that was brought up in one of the emails. Someone sent that the picture, I think it was Carew maybe, gave the picture of the tree and the reminder of not just the idea of equal, but having equity part of it. That just gets a reminder of whether it's in our city hall or it's in our community, we're finding ways that we are caring for those who, for example, their language is not spoken. How do we find ways to and bring that in so that there's an equity in it? So it's not just someone goes to the building department and they have someone there representing them to help. That's a small example of a bigger picture of equity that we're promoting as a community to say we want to help do that so that our community feels cared for. And as Carew just mentioned, that you belong. That's important to part of that. So we can map out, I think, what we mean by these things if we can just get that sentence down, and then in our core values add that. So that's just a couple thoughts that I've been thinking over there.
So I like to do this reflective listening so that we're just clarifying. It sounds like what I heard is that having it be concise is important. You like the combination of the human and civil rights. There's a lot of words in the highlighted one that you like, the protect, promote, and preserve. And then for some of the bigger words, we need to unpack them and map them out as we get into some of the actions, the strategies, the goals, and that this sense of equity and belonging is important that was displayed in that graphic that Carew had shared. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thanks. Great summary. Thank you so much, Jean.
Thank you very much, Timothy. I said the same thing when I first read the proposed mission statements and after reading the highlighted ones, and I totally agree with you on all accounts. I would like to then pass it on to Dr. Garcia.
First off, I'd like to thank everyone on this panel, for all the commissioners for the hard work. I mean, you should have seen the 5 commissioners the other day, how productive the session was. It was very, with a high level of maturity and caring and profound dedication, to be honest with you. I was very impressed with that. I think all these mission statements, and it was well facilitated. Thank you, Janine. I think all these mission statements, they are valid. They, you know, I can start with the first one. One of the things that we need to be mindful about when we write a mission statement, we want to make sure that the words are not passive words. They really mean something. And one of the things that we want to do as a, you know, in a mission statement is to make sure that we have words that really, like, for example, words like empower, educate, human dignity. One could make the argument, for example, that the human dignity, it's well spelled out in the section that is highlighted in yellow. When you talk about fulfilling lives free of race, violence, other systems of oppression. That's all part of, human dignity, no doubt about it. But I think part of our mission is to really educate people, because you can always preserve, protect, and promote once people are empowered and they are educated. So if there's a way, I like the part that is highlighted in yellow, but if there's a way that we can probably steal some of the words incorporated into that part or vice versa, to ensure that we don't lose our intention, because our job as a commission and our job moving forward, if we are going to protect people, promote and preserve, we need to enlighten them. And by enlightenment, I mean educate them about their rights, about what they are, things that needs to be, that needs to be preserved. Their dignity as human beings. The ability to read, write, understand. Especially our immigrant population needs to be empowered. How many of them that probably came to this country they need to go to a process of acculturation, understand the language, the community, the culture, and so on and so forth. That's all through education and empowerment, though those things can be possible. So those are important things that we have to take into account. If there's any way we could potentially steal some of those things and incorporate it, embed it in the yellow section, I would be happy with it.
Okay. So what I heard is, besides being impressed with the subcommittee work, that although all the statements there are valid, your focus is that it is important that we have active words and not passive words, and that to empower and to educate is almost like a precursor to protect, promote, and preserve. And that somehow if 1 in 4 or 1 in the highlighted one could somehow be combined, that's where you're leaning.
That's a very good summary.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia.
Thank you very much for your input, Dr. Garcia. I totally agree. I believe that we should use more of an active voice when it comes to addressing our mission statement, because that's what we stand for. We stand for our activism. So thank you for that. I would like to pass it on to Lynn Alexis.
Thank you, everyone. And I just want to echo what has been said before. For me, the first mission statement, when I look at it, and we had talked about this a little bit during the subcommittee meeting, is that when I look at the word through education, it almost seems a little bit limiting in our vehicle, so to speak. So when I see through, it almost reminds me of like an objective, how we're going to get the mission done, so to speak. So it almost reminds me of the tasks that we have to make these things possible. But I do agree that education is fundamental in how we, fulfill the mission of the Human Rights Commission. I just know that there are other ways that we're able to do that, such as being, advisors and being a mouthpiece that to the city councilors that are able to recommend, so to speak, and resolve disputes in other ways that we can get the mission across, if that makes sense. I do like number 3 a lot, because I feel like it kind of just incorporates the broad sense of what we're trying to do. But I think, like some of you all, I really like the new one as well, because again, language is important. And, I think that we do have a task to promote, protect, and preserve. And some of the other things that follow is almost like what the citizens get out of that. So the promote, protect, preserve is almost our duties, and in return they get to fulfill lives free of racism, poverty, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it does do a good job for the residents and anyone interested in what we're doing to see what is the fruit of the Human Rights Commission. So I really, really do like this new one. And if I had to choose, my vote would go to that one. But I also think it's important for us to include, like Reverend said, the civil rights and the human rights. So in inclusion with the well-being of all the residents, I would also add the well-being of all residents, you know, and the civil and human rights as well, to kind of just complete the last one.
So what I heard is that in the first one, even though education is fundamental, that you're concerned with the word there can be limiting our scope, and that is more of an objective, and it might be part of a bigger plan within recommendations to city officials and help with resolutions. You liked number 3, and you especially liked the new highlighted one, which would probably be where you'd vote, because you feel that to promote, protect, and preserve benefits the residents directly, but you would like to see where it says well-being in that highlighted one, somehow to bring in human and civil rights into that.
Man, that's really good, Janine. You said it better than I did initially. It's great. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
It's probably why she's our Madam Chair. I'm really proud of Janine. Thank you very much for everything that you provided to the table, Lynn. I would like to pass it on to Rashid.
Thank you, Shai. Thanks to everyone for being patient. This is extremely difficult job, and we have to all acknowledge that. It's the idea of all the commissioners that they are bringing in collaboration by listening to other people around them. So we are bringing the ideas of so many people, and they can hear all of you want it to be concise. So we are bringing so many ideas and trying to put it into 2 sentences. We're talking about human rights, civil rights, fairness, inequality, all of that injustice in 2 sentences. It's not going to be an easy job, but it's a good start. I believe that we should probably look at 1, 2, and 3. The 4th one, I can't say anything about because it's great, but it's not ours. That's the only thing that I have against it. It's not ours because the other ones, we put our ideas in there. We spoke to the public. We brought some ideas. We listened to the people. In my opinion, we have to derive another one by looking at each one individually and see the common things between all of them. And they can clearly see that the common thing between all of the 3, it's the first sentence. It stands out. It's the same in all of them. Then probably 2 and 3, there is some kind of similarities in there that are both talking about dignity, respect, and diversity. I think we have to derive a mission statement by looking at all of them. So that's why we're not going to single out anyone's idea. Thank you.
So Rashid, what I heard is that you're appreciative of all the input and work that's put into this to try to integrate all the ideas into a concise statement of a sentence or 2. Your concern with the highlighted one, even though it's very good, is that it's not ours, meaning that we didn't create it within the commission. And I believe I heard you say that you're looking at how to take 1, 2, and 3 and see where there's overlap, like all of them start off the same with human and civil rights, and 2 and 3 have the common denominator of dignity, respect, and diversity. And it sounds like you're saying that there's a way of massaging those so that you could sort of combine them all into one mission statement.
I agree with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rashid. I would like to pass it to Ms. Kathy Reinstein.
Thanks. Thank you, Shay. Sorry, I was having a little issue there. I'm going to just say it again, like, wow, this is such an incredibly thoughtful group. And I'm so glad I didn't go at the beginning, because I think I think Jalon really set the tone when she started talking about the words. And so it made me kind of look at this very differently. And I really started kind of looking over it again. And everyone makes really great points. I guess like, so I don't mean to like always be the devil's advocate, but I always throw it out there because I want us to think about it, right? I mean, we have, you know, Revere's an interesting community and we all are part of it and we love it. And, you know, unfortunately, a big thing that exists in this community is misinformation, right? And like rumors. So I think, you know, the rumors that swirled around developing this commission was that people were saying we shouldn't do it because there's going to be enforcement, things like that, right? And this is part of us doing this mission statement. So I guess the one word that I don't know, maybe we need to, yes, we should be protecting, but protect can be construed in a different way, right? And I guess, how do we define that further, right? So I think there's got to be a way. First of all, these are all amazing, and thank you to the subcommittee for all the work. And I think Dr. Garcia, when you talked about education, like and how you defined it, again, made me think about it differently. But you also said that empowerment is education, and I couldn't agree more. And I think what's missing in the new version is the, you know, the first thing I thought about is, yeah, that word empower is not in there. And I think that is a huge part of what we want to do to help people, because if they need to, you know, to be, you know, to protect them and to have, you know, increase the well-being and all of those things where everyone can have be on an equal footing is everyone has to feel empowered, and we have to help them become empowered if they're not. So I, you know, I don't know, like, and you know, Rashid, you made such a good point. Like the fourth one is great, but it's not ours. But, you know, again, I'll be devil's advocate. How do we kind of take that one and incorporate from the others and then kind of make it ours? I think, you know, all of them are great. They could be used right now. And I think, you know, what is it? What's the best, you know, whatever greatest source of flattery is, I don't know,
Imitation.
imitation, right? So I think, you know, a lot of people do this and they take it and they, how do they change it? So, I mean, you know, we could take, I like the flow of it. I think, you know, there's some like things I would, you know, if we were going to use the new one, I would say the include, like, I would not put inclusion and in parentheses, but I would maybe say like something like protect, promote, and preserve. And I'd say like through empowerment and advocacy. I think advocacy or advocating, I think that's a word that should be used, because I think a big role of this commission, in my opinion, is that we are to be advocates for people. I mean, I think that's a big reason why this is being, we have this commission now. So I think, and you know, empowerment could include education, because I agree that education is totally part of it, and you know, that's empowerment. But I understand why education gets people a little caught up, you know what I mean? So, I mean, and that's something we could explore further. It doesn't have to be in this. And, you know, it's hard to write something short. It's much harder to write something short. So, you know, thank you all for your input and the time that you've all put into this.
Thank you, Kathy. So I heard you say that you're appreciative of the group and all the thoughtfulness. Being a little bit of the devil's advocate, you wanted to point out, you know, your concern of, you know, misinformation and rumors. The word protect, which is in the highlighted one, can have other contexts. So we have to be sort of careful with how that word's used. You agree that empowerment is education and empowerment is important. And maybe in that number 4 highlighted one, we could use it even though it's not ours if we worked with it, but you'd like to see where it's in parentheses, inclusion and, to be more like empower and advocates, because you feel that this commission, one of our roles is to advocate for those who need it.
First of all, I don't know how you're doing all this. It's like you have like superpowers. But think the only thing I would say, promote and preserve the inclusion and well-being of. I wouldn't take out inclusion and, I would just take out the parentheses.
Oh,
And
I
then
see.
how do,
Okay.
and yeah, and then how do we explain, protection is important, but how do we explain, you know, meaning like, you know, through and like, do we protect, promote, and preserve, say, and this is the parentheses, through empowerment and advocacy, the inclusion and well-being of all Revere residents?
Mhm.
I don't know, that's just my,
Yeah, and
Five.
we don't have to get into, I mean, I
Right.
think that's going to be the next work probably for the subcommittee. But as long as we have a sense of what you meant. Thank you for clarifying
Yeah.
to, it's not to remove inclusion, it was to remove the parentheses
yeah,
and explain more the meaning of protect, which makes sense because people hear protect, to serve and protect can have all kinds of different connotations to it.
I don't want to give anyone a reason to not be supportive of the hard work and the reason behind this
Mhm.
commission. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you very much for your input, Kathy. I agree when you said that we should put empower in our, or like make that more explicit in the mission statement, because especially in these times, people need empowerment. Considering what's going on with COVID and what's going on with like the incoming presidency and all the injustices that are currently going on in our society. So thank you very much for pointing that out. I would like to pass it to Chief David Callahan.
Thank you very much. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
It's a little, I think Claudio should respond. For me, it's a little low and there's a little, it's.
Echo. There's some echo, Chief, if you can probably join just from one device.
Okay, well, I'm having a computer issue where I have no sound.
Oh, there is an echo, Chief. Probably you are joining from two different devices.
Let me see what I can do here. How is it now?
So Chief, if you mute your computer, even though you're, and when you're talking, you might not get the echo. No, this means we can hear you on the computer, so maybe you don't need the other.
Try again.
No, Chief, probably if you are joining from another device, just close that device. You don't need, probably, if you are joining from your phone, just turn it off.
He can't.
Yeah,
hear.
so.
Problem is he won't be able to hear. So, so Chief, unmute your phone. Can you unmute your phone? Do you know how to unmute your phone?
Unmute his computer maybe because we can't hear him. I don't know.
He needs to mute his computer and unmute his phone. I think if you hit *6 on your phone, I think that unmutes the phone.
Yep, I took
I
care
took
of that,
Ruben.
All right, so keep your computer muted and I think you're okay. Go ahead, speak.
Okay. How was that? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ruben. Well, listen, I just want to thank everybody for all the hard work they've done. And Janine, I don't know how you're keeping up with it because there's a lot of information here and a lot of people have put a lot of important things out there. And the way I look at it is the community is very diverse and we're going to be the voice of the community. And this commission is diverse as well. Everybody comes from different backgrounds, different ages. And I think it's going to be very, very helpful for the community. And we can speak for some who are unable to speak, are afraid to speak, and we can be their advocates for people in the community. And like all of these mission statements are crafted well. And even, I know Rashid brought up the one that, was not from us, that's from somewhere else from Boston. But I don't see a problem, or I don't have a problem. We'll have to speak with all the other members on the committee that maybe we can craft some things from that, craft it into our mission statement, if that's what we can agree upon as a group. And, definitely the education piece is very, very important. And in the community here in Revere, education is one of our strong points, as well as being a diverse community. And we are more fortunate than most communities where, one, with the education, but two, everyone gets along for the most part. There's a good mutual respect among a lot of different diverse people in the community, and we seem to get along. And then where there is barriers, we're able to break down those barriers, and we work together. And someone brought up a thing that there may be an issue, someone coming to the building department, they can't really understand. What I've seen is there's a lot of people here that will help and try to assist that person, and it makes things easier. So, but go back to these mission statements. I would say we have to have something that has education with equity in it. And just like Dr. Garcia said, education is one of the most important things to kind of even things out for everyone. And education will make the community stronger and the people stronger. And that's why I think we have a good base in this community because of the education. I mean, does that kind of make sense?
So let me know if I heard you correctly.
Yeah.
That you thanked everyone, and you wanted to express and reiterate that we have a community that's very diverse, and this commission is diverse, and the HRC is a voice of the community and who will advocate for the community. You felt all the statements are crafted well, and even though the highlighted one isn't really, quote, ours, you feel that we could still include some of the wording or information in whatever we finally decide upon. And you also agree that education and equity are strong points, and education is really what's helped people work together and support each other.
Yes.
Anything else?
No, I think that's good for now. I don't want to put out too much.
Okay, and also,
because we have a ton of information.
Yeah, and just a time check for everyone, if we want to try to keep this to 90 minutes. You know, it's a little after 6 and we have a couple more people to go. So hopefully this will work out with timing so we can respect all the commissioners as well as the support people and whoever is attending in the audience.
All right, thank you very much, Chief David Callahan. I would like to finally pass it to Chief Chris Bright.
Thank you, Shay. Commissioners, I think we have all the proper words we need for a fantastic mission statement on this page. And thank you, Carew, for submitting this. And I really enjoyed your justice tree too, by the way. Keeping in mind, you know, we have a lot of great words here. Not all of them are going to make it into the mission statement, because a mission statement by definition should only be a couple of sentences perhaps, and should be something everyone can maybe commit to memory and recite. But the words that don't make it into our mission statement, I'm sure will make its way into our core values. And a lot of the other things will be as we grow out this Human Rights Commission. I mean, this is the birth of it. You know, we're in the infancy stage. And I do concur with Lorenzo that I think, and the other commissioners, that education is certainly going to be a big part of what we do here. With these conversations we have, these meetings, the dialogue, reaching out to the community. That's the way I see it. Inviting different groups to address this commission, and as we grow it out, I think perhaps at some point in time, maybe we will have some some mechanisms to offer protection, and maybe hear disputes or resolve or negotiate and do all those other things. But, just keep it in mind, just for this mission statement, we got great words here. we could put together a couple of great lines, and fear not, whatever line, words we did not work into our mission statement can certainly make it into our core values. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. So you felt we have all the proper words in this document that's on the screen. Not all the words need to make it into the mission statement, since it should be short. We should be able to commit it to memory, but other words will certainly make it into core values or other places that are appropriate. Education is very important. And as this commission grows, we might, then move into protect or resolutions and other aspects. But for now, we need to get this sort of done. Was that accurate?
I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone, for putting in their inputs. If there's anyone that I missed, please speak up. Madam Chair, if you will allow me, I would like to present my own opinions on the mission statement, if you allow me.
Yes, of course.
So, for the most part, I agree with what everyone has been saying so far. Except, all due respect, Chief Chris Bright, I don't think everything that is currently on the page is everything that we need for the mission statement. I believe one thing that I saw that was not left out, but wasn't emphasized, was the youth, protecting the youth and empowering the youth specifically. As you guys have seen this year with, I'm a part of the Revere BLM movement, and you can see that there are a lot of youth that are, if it wasn't for such movements, youth are scared to voice their opinions, and those opinions are like their entire rights, you feel me? So I believe that putting, emphasizing youth in our mission statement is ideal, especially since we have so many youth programs in Revere, and then there's so many youth that should be celebrated. In addition, in terms of diversity, I believe, as someone who's coming from a diverse background and who's been living in Revere for quite some time, sometimes I feel like that I'm not given the opportunity to show how diverse I am. What is it called? Like, sure, we have all of these celebrations like the Moroccan Cultural Festival and stuff like that, but I feel like celebrating that diversity and considering what kind of city Revere is, there is so much diversity that isn't being tapped into. And I believe that a lot of the members of the community who don't come from diverse backgrounds don't seem to appreciate that, and that a lot of people get frustrated when people say, hey, Revere is such a diverse city, but that diversity isn't being shown or isn't given that opportunity to show that diversity. So I feel like in conclusion, I feel like we should include celebrating diversity and empowering and just focusing on the youth as well, because the youth are always the one that are being overlooked. And that's why you see us doing these extravagant events, because we want people to notice us. We want to be like this, we are here and our opinions matter, and we want you guys to know that our opinions matter. But given the political climate in Revere, no offense, but it's kind of hard to do that as a youth, especially as someone who is of color. So I feel like that's something that we should definitely add in both our values and our mission statement.
Okay. So Shay.
Could I respond to Shay on that? And point well taken, Shay. Have at it, add youth to it. The commission and the subcommittee, I think it was kind of, the thought was there's a lot of words you can add, including youth. But we wanted to, kind of trying to keep it mindful that we want to keep it to a few sentences, and you can't have every great word in there. That we wanted to really focus on all people.
Yes,
all.
thank you, Chief. And there was, for those of you that weren't in the subcommittee, there were paragraphs that were very powerful paragraphs. One particularly spoke about age, and we felt that those would be included maybe in our values or in our strategies or in our goals. But Shay, that was really helpful and powerful. And I just want to read back what I thought I heard you say, is that for the most part, you agree with everything. You feel that what's missing is youth, and that emphasizing youth is important, as well as to empower youth. Speaking from someone who comes from a diverse background, even though the city of Revere is diverse, you haven't felt that you've really been given the opportunity to show how diverse you are. And so the concern is that much of diversity is not seen or celebrated or given the opportunity to shine.
Yeah, and in terms of it, it's not, I mean, I speak, when I say that, I speak from personal experience, that like, I did say that I felt that I was uncomfortable, but like, I'm saying this in terms of the countless amount of youth that I'm friends with, that I work with, and that I partner with on a daily basis. And it seems that like it's not only me that's feeling it, but it's also the youth who are the youth in general that I work with. And it's like it's something that it's within the youth population that all of us can agree on, and that's why we do the things that we do. And to go back to what you said, Chris, I think I understand that there's so much that we could add into the mission statement, but I believe that youth and diversity they better be on the mission statement, not to be like pushy or anything, but the youth have been underrepresented for way too long, and I feel like that this is the time to do it. You know, they're the next generation. You know, I mean, like when I'm 30 years old and everyone else is like in their 60s and 70s, they're the ones who are going to be making laws and pushing change. And I feel like if we start doing that now, that we're going to be in like a way better place in the future if we put that promotion of empowerment to the youth now. So I feel like it should be on in the mission statement, no matter what. Not to be forceful or anything, but I just feel like as someone who's representing the youth, like it's my job to be like, no, the youth have to be represented because we've been underrepresented for so long.
No, your point heard, and thank you for clarifying. I guess
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Since I'm on the subcommittee and I get to have the benefit of seeing all the different input, I'll just share briefly. For the most part, I feel that any of these statements I could be comfortable with. What I notice about the highlighted one, as much as I like that, I feel that the second half of it is more of a vision, not a mission statement. So when we sort of want a city where residents live healthy, fulfilling vision, that then the mission statement would fall under. So that's just something that I noticed, as much as I like that one. Also, I feel education is really important, and I guess the question is, education will definitely be part of our action, like Lynn was saying. And so do we want it, and I'm just throwing this out there, do we want it both in the mission statement and then in our strategies? And those are things that we need to work through. Do words need to be duplicated or not? Because there's other words like education, collecting data, making recommendations. There are other action words that maybe don't belong in the mission statement, but definitely belong somewhere else. I don't have any strong feelings. I think we have a very good start, and looking at everyone's input, open to how this may unfold and what our next stage is. And I just want to say that I very much appreciated the justice tree that Carew sent. And I don't know if there's any copyright issues with that. So, using something like that, if we chose to use something like that, we would either have to cite what the source is or get permission, or maybe find a volunteer that would be able to put something similar together for us. So I just wanted to make that point about that graphic design. And I'm not going to repeat back what I just said.
Denise, can I say something?
Mhm.
So I have a challenge with the.
Should I keep this document up or should I stop sharing?
You can stop.
If you're going to refer to this, I'll keep it up.
So I have some challenges with the word empower, because when I'm looking at racial justice, social justice, right? It's like, I'm a woman of color. I don't need to be empowered. What I need is the opportunity. What I need is the equity, opportunity, and resources. It's like, I don't have to work 10 times harder to get a good job as a white person.
Mhm.
So I look at the first mission statement. I like a lot of words. And at the same time, as a person of color, a woman of color, when I read this, I feel like, is it my job to educate equity, diversities? Like, so when I read that, it's like, is it my job to educate white people? People with privilege, which is not my job to do that.
Mhm.
That's why, so education, it can be like, you can interpret it different way. It depends on who you are, what you're doing. So I can live with that. And the word empower, I feel like it's more us and them, that it's not equal. Like, everyone is not having the same opportunity. It's more us and them. We need to empower people, which for me, I don't need to be empowered. I just need equitable opportunity and resources.
Okay, good point, that the word empower, you feel, can actually almost have the opposite effect and almost be demeaning in a certain way, when it's really more important to have equity and resources as those that are in the more dominant, privileged culture. Can I start? Should I keep this? I can't see anyone, that's okay. So just let me know when I don't need to keep this up. But go ahead, Dr. Garcia.
No, I respectfully disagree with that assessment. Your experience may be different from an African-American person's experience. It could be different from mine. It could be different from a Latino, Hispanic person. So the word empowerment is really to equip the person with the knowledge, the skills, the ability to question the system. And that's why that word empowerment is there. And if you go back to the history of this country, that goes back to centuries of racism, and you need to empower people to start questioning certain practice, belief systems, and so on and so forth. So to me, that word is critical in everything we do. And the word education, if you look if you really look at our educational system in Revere, the diversity of our population, the parents that we have, the immigrants that we have, education cannot be, in my view, it's just my view, cannot be deleted from a mission statement. It's our job to educate people. Imagine the number of parents who come from Latin American countries, from you could say from Africa, from Morocco, Algeria. How many Arabic kids that we have in Revere with different that go through the system, that need to really understand the role of the system and so on and so forth. They need to be educated. And education without empowerment, to me, are mute words. Just my 2 cents. It's just, what I believe. So I wanted to put it out there.
So go ahead, Lynn. I'm just mindful of the time. It's 6:23. Go ahead.
Okay, I do just want to say, I believe Chief Bright's point that at this point right now, it seems like our only capabilities is an emphasis on education, and maybe as the commission evolves, then we'll get into some of the things as far as what the ordinance prescribes us. But my concern with that is we should be looking at our full capacity as a Human Rights Commission from the powers that are invested to us and entrusted to us by the ordinance. So unless the mission statement is evolving over time, then I don't see a necessity to only limit it to the vehicle of education. Per the ordinance, education is a tremendous part of what we do as a Human Rights Commission. We're supposed to go out and educate the residents. I don't know, maybe hold meetings or however that's going to play out, but education is one of our taskers. With that is also resolution of disputes. With that is also advisement and being able to recommend certain things that we see that are an issue. So I guess education plays a little bit of role in each of those things, but I think that they are unique and they're distinct. So my apprehension is that I just don't want it to be limited. So yes, I just really feel strongly about that, because if we're talking about through, then I just feel like all the vehicles that we're able to make our mission statement possible should be included. And also one more thing, if I may, I also agree with Rashid that it needs to be a collective from all of us, like actively saying, this is what we have, let's cut this out, let's input this, so then we have something that's unique to us.
So when there's 2 things I want to say. One is education, I think, is going to be a whole topic for at least one meeting. There's likely going to be an education subcommittee, because it's not only educating the residents, it's educating those who are in the privileged system, who need to learn about that and learn about how we are contributing consciously and unconsciously just because of our whiteness. So there's many facets to education that we will sort of get to over time. Back to this word empower, because I'm hearing that we have different feelings here. Is there, I'm wondering if there's a different word is allowed to have resources or be able to be authentic, then is there a different word that we can agree on that will have the same impact? Kathy?
So I mean, I should address it because I feel like I'm one of the people who raised this word, right? So I'm doing a Google search while we're here, and the definition according to Google is makes, in parentheses, someone stronger and more confident, especially in controlling their life and claiming their rights. And gives someone the authority to or power to do something. And then it says, I looked at what empower means: to give power to authority, to authorize. And basically I looked at it as, and when I discussed it already, is I was kind of playing off of Dr. Garcia too, in my opinion, and if I'm interpreting this wrong, please someone correct me, but about basically saying, to empower someone, and that is part of education, right? And I think I agree with everyone, education is a big part of it. But again, like Chief Bright said and other people said, there's going to be other things that are going to be in it. But I feel, all due respect to Carew, and everyone has their own experience. And I know that, I am a white person, but I feel like, as someone who has been always very involved and intrigued by the women's empowerment movement since I was a young girl, I don't think that whole movement has the wrong word in it. And so, that is my feeling. I'm not trying to, start an argument, but I feel that, to your point, Madam Chair, I mean, maybe, I'll search synonyms for empowerment while the next person speaks and see if I could put some in the chat. But I feel that, putting this out here is, everyone being on this is empowered by being on this commission. That's the way I interpret it. But again, like other words, protect has different definitions, empower has different definitions. So I totally respect that.
So does the commission feel comfortable with the subcommittee looking at synonyms for empower and trying to be creative with other words? Or are we willing to use empower and accept that different words have different meanings? Do certain commissioners want to submit certain words that they feel that they absolutely do not want in there? Like, is this something we need to have a vote on, or how can we, because we have to get ready to close and we have to continue with this work.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
If you allow me, I probably education and empowerment, one of these two words has to happen, has to be in the mission statement. And the reason is because most of us have been very active in the community, and they see all of us. That's what we have been doing. We have been educating the community. Then empowerment is the next level. Empowerment is this accomplishment that we are seeing in here. And just by looking at this committee, this is the most diverse committee in the city of Revere. And we have all to agree about that. And this is itself, it's an accomplishment, it's an empowerment. In my opinion, we have to probably to have each person try to reword or work with those 4 missions. Please, no more. It's going to be more work. So if we take those 4 missions right there and try to derive one, give a chance to everyone to see what they got to say. Then as a subcommittee members, we can take a look at them again and we can have another round. And remember, Janine, when we spoke last time, I said we don't want to rush it because this is the core value of what we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to draw our boundaries. And we have to memorize it. It has to be concise so we can memorize it. And thank you.
Yeah, no, I agree that we don't want to rush this. I'm just trying to see what the next step is. So I think that's a good idea, that if each commissioner looks at I'll sort of clean up that document so it's not highlighted and send it out. And if each commissioner could look at the 4 and maybe come up with your synthesis of what those 4 might look like, and then submit that back to me so that the subcommittee can then work with those. Does that sound like a plan?
Yes, ma'am.
I think Chief Bright might, yep.
So we'll just put that in the form of a motion. If there's a second, and we'll vote on it, and we'll be done with that.
Thanks. So Chief, did you just move to make that notion?
So moved.
Anyone to second?
And
I second.
And if you're in favor, raise your hand. So all hands are raised. Excellent. Just briefly, with the executive director status, I did have a short conversation with the mayor. And once we have a mission statement, even if we don't have all aspects of it with values and everything, but once we are a little closer to having a mission statement, then he would like this commission to make some recommendations. If any of you have any ideas of people that you would like to present and recommend that the mayor can consider for appointment, And we could also come up with some criteria for that position. So that's just something I wanted to give you an update, and we can maybe hopefully have our mission statement closer to final next time, and we might be able to work on some of those criteria. And does anybody else have any, it seems like the mission statement is still going to be taking up quite a bit of time at our meeting. But is there anything else that anyone would like to add or would like to see as a topic for now and for the next meeting?
Yes, Madam Chair, you are doing an amazing job. We don't want to burn you. Just take it easy. You are doing an amazing job. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge Claudio, who's been translating for the Latino community. And probably this could be an invitation to other communities that they feel underrepresented if they can have someone to translate for them.
Yes, thank you, Rashid. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I completely agree with all of you. This is such a diverse group, and it's very mature and thoughtful, respectful, and it's really a joy to be part of and to serve. And so move to adjourn. Would anyone like to make that motion?
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor? Thank you all so much. I will follow up with an email shortly after this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ruben,
Have a good one, everyone.
Good
Take
night,
care.
all. Bye.
Ruben,
You
do
too,
you
Jane,
need
and
anything
everyone.
else from us before we close?
We're all set. Thank you.
We're all set. Thank you all.
Thanks, Ruben.
Yes, thank you, Ruben. I wanted to actually thank Ruben as well as the translator.
Glad to do it.